Thank you very much, Cahill, and like you, Cahill, I welcome Gina, Paul and their colleagues as well. It's a very exciting statement. Your concluding remarks there refer to the need to have the political institutions working in the best interest of all the people, both north and south. And it's a good challenge to have, to be able to spend money, and I've no doubt that you and your colleagues will be up to it. Could I just say this is the first committee meeting we had since the death of Jacques Delors, the former President of the European Union. He was instrumental in supporting the initial peace programmes, and Cahill, you will recall at that time as well, the late Albert Reynolds as Taoiseach involved people at politics, particularly people from the border region, in making suggestions in regard to the type of peace programme that should be established. And I think it'd be important that we recall the work of the late Jacques Delors, the late John Hume and the late Albert Reynolds in putting in place the first initial programme. And when you outlined there today, Gina, 3.39 billion has been spent in predominantly the border counties, north and south, in giving a whole range of new services, new facilities to communities, and really making a huge difference over the years. Can you outline the great depth and width of this particular programme, touching every facet of life? And it's really heartening to hear that. And 1.14 billion to be spent over the next few years. It's a very substantial amount of money, and I'm sure that it will make a difference in our communities. I'm very glad that you referred in particular the really hard to reach groups. You know, that's an issue that concerns us at this committee all the time. The programmes are designed, and oftentimes the better resourced communities, the communities that have maybe a greater level of employment and a greater level of affluence, they can often be in a position to prepare good applications to draw down funding, you know, meeting within the programme. But I would always be concerned about that at times, quite rightly, there's a very demanding application process. Understandably, it's public money and we all want to see it put to good use, and we want to see good applications come forward. Is there assistance for groups that would not be well resourced to prepare applications? Because I know at times it can cost money to hire somebody to prepare an application, and some of the groups that I'm thinking of that should be benefiting from this programme, they might not have the resources to put together a worthwhile programme that will meet your application criteria. So if some assistance could be given to some groups in that respect, I think it'd be important. I know that the local authorities and Deputy Tully will know from our own county there's a peace programme officer who assists different groups and prepares applications for our own local authority. I presume that's reflected in other areas as well. You mentioned, look, we all know, particularly those of us representing border communities, how beneficial the initial peace programme was, and its successor programmes have been in developing community facilities, in developing small enterprise units that gave rise to employment, and also assisting youth programmes, particularly cross-border youth programmes. You mentioned as well that there may be some support for supporting activities to counter trauma through art, music, storytelling and sport. Is the provision of new and or upgraded sporting facilities eligible for funding under this particular programme? I think oftentimes we don't give enough value to the importance, we don't give enough importance to the value of sport in bringing people together, in providing an outlet for people, in providing necessary both recreational and sporting facilities for our people of all age groups. You know, recreational sporting facilities, not just for young people, for people of all age groups. So if I could have some clarification on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Cahill.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah,
thank you, Brendan. Yes, indeed, we do have a programme of pre-development support, we call it, for all applicants. So what we've been doing before the programme opened, over the last year or more actually, before the programme was finally approved, we ran a series of workshops in all of the different areas that we, you know, the first ones that we were opening for calls, and we had an information workshop, and then after that we put in place capacity with somebody to help applicants, potential applicants, to access the programme. So they would talk to them and decide whether it was applicable for them, whether there was a different theme they should go speak to, or a different programme indeed they should look at. And they dealt with them and really tried to give them some support, because you're quite right, there's some organisations don't have the capacity. And what we tried to ensure was that we had enough time that those organisations were able to prepare, and also a better quality application to us is a better quality project for the longevity of the programme. So we have seen the benefit of that, we've heard the benefit of that, we've heard from applicants about how that really helped them think about areas that they hadn't thought of before, or indeed some of that was also partnering up with others, and I'll maybe ask Mark to say something a little bit further on that. The other area that's really useful for those groups that don't have much in the way of capacity, well, there's two actually. The local authority council plans, which have to be created with the community, and that's down to the district wards. There has to be evidence of co-creation. So if there's a specific need in that area, then that should come forward into the action plan with the local council and come forward to us, because they have an allocation of funding that isn't competitive. But the other area for smaller groups is those projects, as I mentioned, small grants. They're not that small. They're up to 100,000. So that, I think, is going to be, we're hopefully going to rename those as the Changemaker funds, both cross-community and cross-border. So in theme 1, there's cross-community small grants up to 100,000, and then in theme 6 there's cross-border. Now the cross-border ones is exactly what it says: encouraging links cross-border, strengthening links, looking for new networks, looking at the challenges, trying to create those links going forward. In the theme 1, the cross-community is very much focused on peace building activity, but it can be anything. It can be any sector. You can apply as many times as you want to, and a small group might just want 50,000, they might want 5,000 and 100,000, and they will be much more administratively straightforward. They're going to be managed on our behalf by Pubble, and along with a Northern Ireland delivery partner, and hopefully they will roll out in March, April time. So I think that's going to, you'll see a big impact on the ground of those small grants, because they'll be much, much easier. And in relation to sporting facilities, yes, we do. As you know, we've always funded sporting facilities. Indeed, in and around Cavan there's the sports link, and you're quite right. The impact of sports on relationship building is, it's within the programme. It's so important, and again, we accept that this time round, both in the capital round and the shared spaces. There's areas for it within the small grants, the rural regeneration, the local authorities. We're not at all adverse to funding sporting facilities. We see the benefit of that. Mark, do you want to add anything in relation to pre-development support or anything?
Yeah, just to add that around that, and recognising what's been said there, that those smaller groups and those maybe that are most in need find it hardest to access. And what we're doing with those larger potential lead partners, as we call them in the programme, is to signpost them toward those. So we ran a series of road shows, and what we found was the smaller groups were very open in discussing those challenges of the road shows, but that gave us an opportunity to link them, whether it's with particularly around the skills and maybe the more prosperity old interreg type activity that we linked them in with the colleges here in Northern Ireland, whether it's with the ETBs in the Republic of Ireland, and drew them together through that started to give them that opportunity to engage, and they've certainly found their voice through that activity also.